Hello everybody, and welcome back to the King Fox channel. My name is Matt Conager, and I'm building a Kit Fox Model 7 STI. In part 2 of the rudder pedal build, I'm going to be finishing up the fabrication of my metal brackets that go over the pulleys. I actually got them bent and got them on here now, but I have better radiuses. I don't have them bent at a 90-degree angle, so that's supposed to be so they don't vibrate and break eventually. So things you learn as you go. I was able to source some of the metal at a welding place here in town. They were kind enough to cut the strips out of a big sheet for me. So some of the pieces that in the last episode I was missing were, I had the two master cylinders, and those were in the main kit. I had two of the bushings that go on each pedal, and I couldn't for the life of me find any of the other ones. So I was going back and forth in email with Brandon, and he referenced me over to Heather, and I was in the grocery store buying kumquats today, and she gave me a call and asked if I'd check the additional landing gear parts box. So I'd gone through pretty much all my other boxes, anything that made mention of brakes or gear. I guess I didn't think to look in the landing gear parts box, but I pulled it off the shelf, opened it up, and sure enough, there were two more cylinders in there and some more bushings. So I'm in business. So I'm gonna pick up where we left off and hopefully wrap this one up, and hopefully I'll be sticking them in the plane here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's get going. picked up a bearing for the rudder pedals. A lot easier to do this than it is to sand the inside of this tube, because I've been sanding on these tubes for hours, and I just decided to sand one of these bushings a little bit, and I hit it with some 200, some 120, and then some 220, and then the Scotch-Brite, and it looks just like it did before I put it in the drill, pretty much. So this one hasn't been touched yet. This one I just sanded, so there's a little line right there. I'll just come back with the Scotch-Brite, but once you put it in the T tube there, it goes in a lot nicer. You can actually push it through and pull it out. Before I was having to force them in and then force them out, so that wasn't helping anything. So that's a little tip that maybe everybody else has done, and I just figured it out myself, but anyway, it's free to use. Okay, I've aligned the tubes around their axis. I've got them kind of clamped together here to keep the pedals lined up, and then the little bit of the stub sticking out that I could actually get a piece of wood on there and clamp. Got those arms because those two move independently from this and this. So I'm trying to keep I don't know that it really matters, but I'm trying to keep these two parallel, and these brackets for both pulleys parallel while I drill. So I got the holes drilled, cleaned it up a little bit, did some deburring best I could, and then I got in there with a little Scotch-Brite and make sure there were no rough edges. So I'm going to clean up the tubes, lube up the tubes, stick them together, and rivet this one up. Clean these tubes up with a little denatured alcohol, get the residual powder coating off them, and then let that dry off quick, and hit them with a little bit of a little bit of grease, and put them together. So this bearing here just slides in on that end, and this bearing, well, I might not be able to pull it out, but you had to cut it so that it overlaps, sand it a little bit so it fits in there, and there you go. So now we'll get a little bit of grease. That denatured alcohol dries almost instantly, so no real waiting there. I have a meat timer going off inside, so I have to run. All right, I'm back. Putting these together, these triangles basically point towards each other, so it's the same on the other side. I guess this would be the co-pilot side. So I'm doing this side first since it's a trial run for me. For the rivets, it's going to be a 1/8 by 3/16 stainless steel pop rivet. So I need 3, 6, 9. There's 4 on the bottom, 4, and 6 is 10, 11, 12. They're not all in a nice neat row because my drill bit was walking a little bit on me, so wherever I could get them in was basically where they went. And I see a discrepancy already. Cancel the discrepancy. I had a larger gap right here. You're supposed to have a 1/32 of an inch gap on this side, and then on the other side of the horn bushing that'll go in there. It's the inboard torque tube bearing, so I got one on each end. And I've already torqued all of these down to 34 inch-pounds, maybe 35, and they're ready to go. So I'm gonna put this piece together, and then I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'm gonna be using a bolt mark on these bolts that I've already torqued down so that I can look at them quickly and notice that they've been torqued. I got the idea from a guy's build on the KitFox forum, Gary Fenning. Thanks for sharing, Gary. You can It's a nice bright orange, so you can easily see if it's been broken or not once it dries up. I used it already on the rudder bearing holders. Now when you first open up the can, it comes out a little bit runny, and I thought it was kind of running down the bolt, but then it turns orange, so it must be like the top on a can of ketchup when you first open it up. There's a little bit of water up there, so I might as well just put a little extra dab on these, make it look pretty. To keep those brackets lined up like it says in the book. A bit of clutter on my workbench. I'm going to slide a rivet into one of those holes, not to put it in, but just as a placeholder, so that tube can basically still rotate. So I'll just set it in there so that as I move around to the other sides, nothing moves. Sounds like I need a battery swap. Okay, I'll clean this up again and do a little deburring, and then we'll get this side put together. Alright, the pilot side, get those top two, 3 on the side, 3 on this side, and 4 on the bottom. Those are in. Tubes are lubed. I gotta get these bushings. When I put these bushings in, anytime I put these bushings in, even though they slide in nice, and I put my pedal on there, and I torque it to 20 to 25 pounds, inch-pounds, it must compress the bushing, and then it doesn't turn well. So talking to another guy down south in Missouri, Jason Murphy, he said he tapers the end of the bushing just a little bit, so I'm going to give that a try. Pedal goes on with the bolt goes through this hole here. The top piece, this is where your brake cylinders I think are going to hook into. And these bolts on the pilot side go from the inside towards outboard. These are a nylon nut, and even so, they do recommend torquing 20 to 26. Now I'm going to try to go for just 20, and that's because every time I tighten it up, the pedal doesn't want to move. There's red at 20. Still a little bit tight, I think. That's what I'm going to do to the rest of them and see how it turns out. £20. Very tight. See, the pedal is much more narrow than the bearing, so I have to spread it apart. I think I'm going to file it down. Let's check the last one. Not the same thing. 3 3/8. 3 3/8. I'll take them down to probably 3 1/4. Alright everybody, so I got the rudder pedals together and it's been a lot of fun, and I think I'm maybe halfway through, because now what I've got to do is stick them in the airplane, and that's where the 2 people that I've been talking to, or the 3 people that I've been talking to, say that the floorboards inside the airplane aren't level and that they have to do some shimming. So I'm gonna move over to the airplane and we'll take a look and see if mine is flat and it'll just slide in, and I'm hoping that's how it is. So let's go. Still haven't cut those. First thing I want to look at are these. There's supposed to be some lugs under here to bolt things to. Get rid of the airplane. see I'm going to be bolting to this tab, I think, and that tab, possibly all of them. So I'm just going to measure center to center between this one, the middle one, and vice versa over here, so I can make sure that all my brackets line up before I bring everything over here. So these two are 10 inches on center, and to the middle is 14 3/4, and the opposite side measures about the same. So I'm just going to put a mark on the front of the tubes in the center, so when I put the board on I can see what center of those brackets. Stay. A lot of moving parts here. Great bits. So that bit I was just using was a Amazon purchase. I found some metric millimeter bits, and it was a 4.5. It says that basically the equivalent to 3/16 is a 4.7. I needed a shorter drill to get in there, so I was using the impact wrench, but I'm going to have to go to the, hopefully the 12 volt will do it, and be short enough to get underneath the center console, and it is not. So I'm going to have to take the center console off to get in here, which I like doing. Sharp bit helps. .1875. think that's as far as I'm going to go tonight.
That's all, folks.